Picture this. A woman sits beneath a palm tree in the hill country of ancient Israel, and people travel for miles just to hear her speak. Kings tremble at her words. Generals won't go to battle without her blessing. She's not a warrior with a sword, not a queen with a crown. She's something far more powerful. Her name is Deborah, and her story has been buried in the pages of history for far too long. Most people have never heard of her. But 3,000 years ago, she was doing something that seemed impossible, leading an entire nation as a prophet, a judge, and a military strategist, all while the world around her said women couldn't do any of those things. So who was she, really? And why does her story matter today? Deborah lived during one of Israel's darkest periods. For 20 years, a brutal Canaanite king named Jabin had oppressed her people. His military commander, Sisera, had 900 iron chariots. Think of them as the ancient equivalent of tanks. Israel had nothing, no army, no weapons, no hope. The people were terrified, hiding in their homes, wondering if anyone would stand up to save them. And that's when Deborah appears in the story. She wasn't born into royalty. She wasn't handed power. The text simply tells us she was a prophetess and a judge, sitting under that palm tree between Ramah and Bethel, settling disputes and delivering messages from God. People trusted her. They listened to her. In a society where women rarely held any authority, she had become the most powerful person in the nation. But Deborah knew something no one else did. God had given her a message. It was time to fight back. She summons a man named Barak, a military leader, and delivers a direct command from God. Take 10,000 men to Mount Tabor. I will draw Sisera and his chariots to the Kishon River, and I will give him into your hands. This is where the story gets interesting. Barak, this experienced military commander, looks at Deborah and essentially says, "I'll only go if you come with me." Think about that. He had 10,000 soldiers. He had God's promise of victory. But he refused to go without her. That tells you everything about Deborah's leadership. She wasn't just relaying messages. She carried a presence, an authority that made hardened warriors feel braver just being near her. So Deborah agrees. She goes with him. But she delivers a warning. Because of the way you're doing this, the honor of victory won't go to you. The Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman. Now the tension builds. The Israelite army marches to Mount Tabor. Sisera hears about it and mobilizes his 900 iron chariots, plus his entire army. The odds are impossibly stacked against Israel. This should be a massacre. But Deborah stands there on that mountain and tells Barak, "Go! This is the day the Lord has given Sisera into your hands." Hasn't the Lord gone ahead of you? And something miraculous happens. The battle begins, and Sisera's chariots, his unstoppable war machines, get stuck in the mud near the Kishon River. Some scholars think there was a sudden rainstorm that turned the riverbed into a swamp. Whatever happened, those iron chariots became death traps. Sisera's army panics. They flee. Not a single one survives except Sisera himself, who abandons his chariot and runs on foot. And here's where Deborah's prophecy comes true in the most unexpected way. Sisera runs to what he thinks is a safe house, the tent of a woman named Yael. She welcomes him in, gives him milk, lets him rest. And while he's sleeping, she takes a tent peg and a hammer and kills him. The mighty Sisera, commander of 900 chariots, defeated not by a warrior in battle, but by a woman with a tent peg. Just as Deborah said, the victory is complete. Israel is free, and Deborah doesn't fade into that ground. She composes a victory song, one of the oldest pieces of Hebrew poetry we have, celebrating what God did through the most unlikely heroes. But here's the payoff. The reason this story still resonates 3,000 years later, Deborah never needed permission to lead. She didn't apologize for her authority. She didn't wait for the perfect conditions or for someone more qualified. She saw what needed to be done and she did it, bringing together faith, wisdom, and courage in a way that changed everything for her people. She was a wife, a prophet, a judge, a strategist, a poet, and a leader, all at once. In a world that tried to limit her, she became limitless. And perhaps that's the real message hidden in this ancient story. That leadership isn't about who you're supposed to be according to society's rules. It's about stepping into who you're called to be, even when, especially when, the odds seem impossible. If this story inspired you, hit that like button and drop a comment below. I want to know, had you heard of Deborah before? And what part of her story resonates with you most? Let's keep this conversation going.